special cases dealing with Dr. King. First, the March on Washington and the I Have a Dream speech. We've heard during this period quite a number of renditions of, excuse me, I've had a dream. And to say something about that, bringing King to national prominence, and at the same time to recognize that the state of Tennessee has the distinction of being the state where Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis, and to say something about perhaps those two events, and if you will, to perhaps give us some information relative to what that assassination meant to your father personally in terms of that happening in the state of Tennessee and et cetera.
Sure, sure. The I Have a Dream speech itself electrified the country. In 1963, I was 8 years old then, and we were not there. Matter of fact, my father was not there because of the transition of moving to Cleveland, Ohio at that time, and because of all of that, he was not able to make the march itself. But even as we reflect upon the speech itself, it is the most famous speech that Dr. King made, and yet people still find its relevance. Here it is, almost 30 years after the speech, and yet it still speaks to us, and it still energizes people. We were discussing, even as we were planning for the holiday, how is it that we can use that speech as a part of our celebration so that people can be magnetized once again by what the words are saying to us. I think the words and the message in the speech itself are timeless, and they continue to speak not only to that generation, but each generation. And you still hear people, not only those within the movement, but those who were not necessarily directly involved in the movement, make reference to, I have a dream, but you can have a dream. You can have your dreams fulfilled. We see that the state of Tennessee will always go down in infamy because of the fact that King was assassinated here, trying to leave the garbage workers strike there in the state of Tennessee, here in the state of Tennessee, and there in the city of Memphis. I remember then again when that day happened, I was out playing ball or something and came home and heard about the fact that King had been assassinated. And it was a shock to us, and it was a very hurting feeling to us because of the fact that we had known him, we had known of what was going on in his, in terms of the interpersonal kinds of things. And Tennessee holds that distinction of being the place of where he was assassinated, though it's good thought that, well, if it's any good thought to it per se, that Ray was not from Tennessee himself. He was someone who just so happened to have been tracking down King and discovered his whereabouts and was able to do this dastardly kind of thing. But we discover that that has also helped us to realize that we've got to do things that are right. We've got to do things that are consistent. Matter of fact, Tennessee, I'm sure, did not hesitate in terms of establishing the King holiday, because that would have been such a great miscarriage of justice, or even trying to make right that which the state holds the infamous label for.
Very good. Now, over the last few minutes, let's talk about some of the planned activities during this holiday period. What are some of the things that are planned, and perhaps you could give us an overview of those things that our participants might, our viewers might participate in?
Sure. Well, this evening there is a special service that's going to be held at the Pleasant Green Baptist Church located on Jefferson Street. That will start at 7:30. The guest speaker for that occasion will be the Reverend Edwin Sanders, pastor of the Metropolitan Interdenominational Church. It will be a time when we begin the celebration and helping us to continue to raise our own consciousness about what King was all about. That'll be tonight at 7:30. Tomorrow, which is the actual day of the celebration, we will begin with rallies at various sites throughout the city. The sites will be Jefferson Street Baptist Church, First Baptist Church, East Nashville, First Baptist Church, Capitol Hill, the Bethel A of E Church, I believe there are 2 or 3, and I don't have the whole list of them. I believe they'll be listed in the newspaper, and you'll find the information. But these are some of the locations where we are. American Baptist College is one, and we will be asking people to go to these sites early on the day. And after a rally service there, then people will march down to the auditorium, the municipal auditorium, asking persons to get there around 11:30. If they're able to get there at 11:30, the program itself is going to start at 12. Our speaker will be Senator Thelma Harper, and she'll be speaking. There'll be other activities. Some persons are concerned, well, they're going to have us down there all day, and we're planning the program so that it will not last any more than an hour, hour and a half, but yet still have the relevance and significance of what we want the holiday to represent for us.
Now, there's a march, excuse me, that's also planned as part of this activity.
Sure.
Is there not?
What people will do,
excuse me.
Yeah, what they'll be doing is marching from these sites that I've mentioned, as well as the others that are listed in the newspaper. And when marching from these sites, they will march to the auditorium so that all of us will converge there at around 11:30. We'll have Tennessee State's band playing. There'll be one of the high school bands playing. We'll have other kinds of music. So it'll be a festive kind of occasion, yet one that is not one filled with irreverence, but one that still points to the importance of Dr. King and the life that he led, and helping us to remember, and letting this be the energizer that will push us on, so that when other years come about, that we will continue to try to perpetuate the dream and the ideas of which King stood for. We're looking forward to that. There's also a banquet that will be this coming Friday at, I believe it's at Tennessee State, which is also sponsored by the Interdenominational Ministers Fellowship. If you're interested in getting more information about the banquet, you can call First Baptist Capitol Hill. And can I give the number on the air?
Yes.
Okay, 255-8757, and they can give you information about the banquet. All of this, still again, is trying to keep a focus on what King has really been all about.
Now, if you were trying to get widespread participation in all of this activity, what would you say to the community this morning?
I think that we need to remember that King's life was not just for black folk. It was not just for persons who were poor, not just for those who were the oppressed, but King's life was for everyone. And if you look back, that King did not preach a kind of reverse segregation. He did not talk about reversing things so that only blacks are in positions and so forth. But he talked about a kind of society, a kind of world where people can work and live together. And that's what God really wants it to be like. So I would encourage all persons, black, white, young, and old, irrespective of their religion or national origin, whatever the case, to come out and to share in the celebration. We are involving people in the celebration who come from all walks of life, young, old, black, and white. There'll be some awards that are presented, a lot of other things. We'll have some government officials that will be assisting as a part of the service, but all of this is to demonstrate that King represented the community. And so this is a community celebration, and we want the community to come out and to lend their support and to help us to show that King's life, King's dream still is with us.
Very, excuse me, Reverend Smith, very good. And let me thank you for bringing us that information about not only Dr. King, but about some of the activities that are planned for this celebration. And again, let me encourage you next week to tune in to another informative edition of Comments. Good morning.